It's Cricbuzz Live, and it's all the action happening in the desert. They talk about it often as the mother of all battles, and that's exactly what it's going to be, with plenty at stake today, a place in the final. Let's not forget, it's a double-header. There will, of course, be Bangladesh taking on Afghanistan, but naturally, the focus will have to be on India and Pakistan. Let's join our guests in the studio, SHOAIB, Bhattacharjya, Harsha, Bhogle, both veterans of several India-Pakistan battles. No matter what's at stake, let's start by this battle. It's always something at stake for both sides, no matter which part of the tournament you're in.
It is, and I think it's because we haven't played each other for that long. India and Pakistan haven't played each other they play each other very infrequently. They played recently. Before that, they played in the Champions Trophy. They've only had about 8 games in the last 5 years. So being infrequent, it becomes an occasion. Though I'd like to see a little bit more buzz around this game, to be honest. But in recent times, India have had the edge over Pakistan. I'd like to see if Pakistan can come up and deliver a stronger performance today.
Well, no shortage of buzz because we are on Cricbuzz Live
absolutely.
here.
I should have guessed that.
Pardon the pun.
I should have guessed that.
Look, I'm planning to leave because I have an important job, which is for the next Asia Cup. I'm going to figure out a format where India plays Pakistan 4 times. Because the way they've convoluted it to play 3 times, I mean, the fact of the matter is, put them in the same group, okay, let them play once. To have a Super 6 and a Super 4 and then a final to say, okay, 3 India games.
And a best of 3 Super 2.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So that's my only problem. I think by making them contriving to make them play as much as possible, you tend to devalue your product a bit. And there's something you've got to do about that.
But perhaps it was almost like, unlike an India-Sri Lanka battle that used to come up every week.
No.
The fact that
twice a week.
The fact that Harsha mentioned it's an infrequent battle, maybe it was just organizers just crying out to say that, listen, let's try and have this often as possible. Whether for good or bad, at least today's game has something at stake, unlike the last one.
Yeah, this has something at stake, and okay, one team is going to go through, and that's going to make a difference. And the other team, if Afghanistan is playing the way they will, you could scare a few people out there. Look at that. It's fairly clear what the who the top and the bottom of the order is, but that Afghanistan is a dangerous floater for India. If India, for some reason, do not make it through today, it'll be a very nervous encounter against, I think, Bangladesh, against Afghanistan, I think.
But interesting, you look at India versus Pakistan, and the one thing sports enthusiasts, especially when you're neutral, you're crying out for is a good battle. I mean, no matter what, India, Pakistan, the crowds will turn up, people will follow it. But end of the day, you want a good battle no matter who wins, and we haven't had that in a long time.
No, we haven't. I'd like to see what the crowds for today's game are like, because last time they took some time getting in. This is the point you were making, weren't you?
I mean, even when Pakistan won, it was by 85 runs, and then one close match. We're talking about that match in Dhaka by 1 wicket. That's the kind of thriller.
The one in Delhi looks like 10 runs. That one in Delhi was over about half an hour before the game started. I was at that game. It was very clear what was going to happen. Good half an hour before the result. Everyone knew what was going to happen. Dhaka was the only one that was close. I remember that because Afridi hit those 2 sixes of Ashwin. And I remember saying that, and I'll say it again. It was the closest I've seen the boundary line to the 30-yard circle. I mean, people might think Saar Graves because Afridi hit those 6s. The boundary was the same for both sides. It was appalling how close the boundary was. And I had come to the Asia Cup soon after doing the under-19 World Cup in Dubai, where the boundaries were distant. And I told myself, our game is in very good health. The under-19s need long boundaries and the seniors need them brought in. But the larger point you make is valid. There have not been close matches for a long time. Even last year's Champions Trophy saw 2 one-sided games.
But Joyce, and we talked about that Delhi game. I mean, Harsha, I know, is a good Mumbaiker and enjoys his 25 to 30 degrees. That day in Delhi was a bit like the studio here.
Freezing.
It was cold.
Absolutely freezing.
It was very, very cold.
I have one point to make. The other fact is that I believe that especially if you look at Premier League football or world football, where the money goes is where quality goes. And the fact of the matter is, with the kind of money that's come in from the IPL, the basic quality, when we talked about very equal India-Pakistan sides in the 70s and 80s, your economies are roughly the same. They didn't have any money, we didn't have any money. Now India has money, has resources, has a professional league 3, 4, 5 years before Pakistan did. And that is making a difference. I think the battle is unequal because the kind of resources that we are now pushing into this are resources that are counting. And I think that's where the weight of the numbers is much coming towards India.
Can it work the other way though? Can it almost ignite a hunger, saying
definitely
we don't have the IPL, so we'll try harder? You know what? That guy is getting 8 crores in the IPL. I'll show I'm better than him. that hunger can exist. To be honest, we've not seen that. I remember that first Champions Trophy game, and the next morning I'm having breakfast. A lot of the Pakistan team officials were around. I was chatting with Mickey Adar, and I said, I've never seen Pakistan so meek. And it came on the back of India beating them at the World T20, beating them in several other tournaments, and he was perplexed too. But only one team could turn it around in 2 weeks, like Pakistan did. So I'd like to see how they play today. My gut feel is that the best thing that could have happened to Pakistan was that game against Afghanistan, where they batted all the way through, and they would have realized you don't need to go hard. When they played India last time, both Imamul Haq and Fakhar Zaman, right? Imamul Haq and Fakhar Zaman went hard at Bhubaneswar and got out early. My feeling is they've now realized if they take it to 50 overs, what is possible. So I'm expecting them to be a little more patient at the top.
I know it's the old cliche we talk about. Everyone mentions it for an India-Pakistan game, which Pakistan will turn up. But that's the thing about a small tournament like this. Last game inconsequential. This one, the Super 4. Next one, as you called it, is going to be the Super 2. You never know. If the other Pakistan turns up just on that one day, doesn't matter what they've done the rest of the tournament, doesn't matter what numbers they get in terms of the IPL or the PSL, that's all that matters on that day.
It does. And face it, every once in a while they're going to punch above their weight and beat India, beat Australia, beat a big team. But it's not going to happen consistently. The fact of the matter is, wherever money resources keep pushing after a certain time, it is very difficult to buck it now. And most professional sport is moving that way. The more resources you expend in it, the more weight you put behind it.
I think there's also been a slightly subtle shift in that every time India played Pakistan over the years, and we've been watching it for 15, 20 years now at least, it was always the might of India's batting and an outstanding bowling side. Subtly, that has shifted to India's bowling versus Pakistan's batting. And India's bowling has grown. Pakistan's batting is nowhere near what it was when you had the Saids and the Yusufs and the Inzamams and all those people. And I think because there's been that subtle shift, India are enjoying the advantage because Pakistan's batting is not what it was and India's bowling is better than what it was.
Absolutely, much better.
Maybe not quite the consistency, but let's quickly have a look at the lineups. And remember, Pakistan are going to be batting first. They've won the toss, and this is exactly with the two changes. It's not going to really affect the batting order. Both the changes are down in the bowling order. Mohammad Amir comes back in. Shadab Khan comes back in. So no place for Haris Sohail. So steady batting lineup, and I think that's where they'll need all the runs coming from the top and middle order.
It's the team I expected. I must admit, it's the team I expected. I rate Shadab Khan very, very high as a cricketer. He contributes in 3 ways to Pakistan cricket. He's good enough to bat at 7, good enough to give you 10 overs, and he's electric in the field, which is not something you can say about a lot of Pakistan players in recent times, especially about the fielding. Amir has done well against India. So I just think that's a factor. It's a bit hard on Usman, right? It's a bit hard on Usman Khan, Shinwari as they call him, Usman Shinwari, because he's done well. Yeah, so it's a bit hard, but I think Amir's record against India is what's tilted it.
Yeah, and look, you need players with big game experience. He just has that experience. He has success against India. They're going to better. Again, it's like an old sort of war horse, sniff a big battle and come up big on the day. That's all. Otherwise, his record.
Call him an old war horse.
Okay, old war horse. I've called him much less than Simon Dole called him a few days back. So.
No, we're not getting there.
Tell me, in a situation, a place like Dubai, so I'll come back to your point. I know Rohit Sharma was the home captain. He tossed the coin. Is there a bit of home advantage? Never mind the crowds, which way it goes.
I don't think so, actually. I just think that because it's a used surface, and these surfaces in the heat, it's 41, I think, today. In the heat, they're slowing down. Batting second might be a little troublesome, but apart from that, I don't think there's a home advantage. I think Pakistan had a home advantage in Sharjah. But in Dubai, I don't think there's a home advantage.
What about the Indian lineup? Because they will, of course, be the team chasing. Will they have difficulties? Will it slow down a little bit? But for now, this is the 11, the same 11. No change to that 11. Looks a very settled lineup. Of course, the big name missing. We've talked about it before on Cricbuzz Live here. So, really, Virat Kohli is forgotten about right now. This is the team you're dealing with. And, of course, Rohit Sharma. We talked about that stat at the toss about him succeeding and India succeeding. Yeah. But again, you're talking about lineup that goes right down to...
There's something interesting about this. I'm just thinking, if I'm in the Pakistan team, I'm just telling Fakhar Zaman and Imamul Haq, don't give your wicket to the new ball. So if you can see a way, say 3, maybe 4 overs from Bhuvi and Bumrah, then who are India going to bowl at you? Are they going to bowl Chahal with the wrong guns against the left-hander? Or are you going to be able to play him with the turn? Are they going to bowl Jadeja to the left-handers? Are you going to do that? So let's see what India do. I just tell them, don't lose a wicket to the new ball.
They're thinking that Sarfraz did say at the toss that they're thinking about it. They want him to spend some time out there in the middle, and he'll go out there with that instruction.
I think they will, and they definitely they made the run early. I mean, that first wicket when they lost, when he ran down to Bhuvi, that was just sign of inexperience. I mean, he just and not a batsman of his class. So look, I think it's going to change today. But look, India has a lot of weapons. And the other thing is, this left-right combination. While it does matter that you're going to have a left-hander bowling in, these grounds are pretty big grounds. Number one. Number two is that Jadeja is a spot-on bowler. I mean, we tend to sometimes overplay this. Batsmen, you keep changing batsmen for left, right. And I think India has a fairly, because Hardik in these pitches wasn't getting much. I think Jadeja will give you more. And look, you only have 10 overs to look after between Jadeja and the others do their job is between Jadeja and Kedar. It's just 10 overs.
No, it's a valid point. It's a point we talk about more and more, that what do you do with the left-hander? The left-hand batsman is batting. I mean, the history of the game, off-spinners have bowled to right-handers and left-arm spinners have bowled to left-handers.
Lance Gibbs got 300 wickets.
You've got to find a way out.
We've got some interesting numbers here. We talked about it before the show, but I think our viewers will enjoy it.
Okay.
A lot about the Pakistan batsmen have been said, their averages and their healthy numbers, but you need to look at the numbers behind the numbers. And what we've discovered is that, yes, you look at the top order, the likes of Imamul Haq and Fakhar Zaman. They've played a lot of cricket, no fault of theirs. They've played a lot of cricket against the teams who are maybe not the top 5 or 6 teams in the world. And if you look at the averages, comparing table 1 versus table 2, it tells a story. Have a look at this.
I mean, with Imam, there's not enough data points there, as Joy will tell you. There's not enough data points there to arrive at a conclusion. Fakhar Zaman, 8. But look at all the others. Babar Azam, just 37. And I'm saying just because he's a top order. Today, if you're playing 15 games at number 3, you've got to be more than 37.
Yeah.
Shoaib Malik 30. So look at the numbers when they play the rest of the opposition, and there is a school of thought that they've been fattened playing weak opposition. So today will be a test of that, but then their numbers against quality opposition are not what they should be.
Absolutely, and this is just one part of it. If you look at even their team numbers, it's a frightening statistic. Out of 22, playing 22 times, playing the other countries, the top order countries, England and all.
Here's what
look
you're
at that,
talking about.
5 and 17, and then 19-1 against the so-called the others not so good side. So look, this is a side that has fattened itself on comparatively easier opposition. So again, as you said, numbers, this number tells you that look, against top quality opposition, they aren't that experienced a side, that not that great a side either.
They should have home advantage. I mean, I know you asked about home advantage. They should have home advantage because this has been their home for such a long time, and they've played well in these conditions. They should have. It's not looking like they do, because if slowness of a track is an advantage, then it's an advantage against a New Zealand, it's an advantage against an Australia. It may not be an advantage against an India.
But I'll come back to one more question before we go center stage to Dubai. You use the word consistency. Yes, if this was a bilateral ODI series, 5 matches, India overwhelming favourites, 3-2, 4-1, whatever the case may be. But this is a one-off game, and the next one, the possible final, will be another one-off game. That's where things can be different. You don't need to be consistent. You just need to perform on the day, on 2 days.
Absolutely. I think it suits them. It suits them that it's one-offs, because one-offs make a difference. Because, I think in a 5-match series, they wouldn't last against us. But at this point in time, one game, prizing yourself, they say that good teams just want to play at their level. Because, to depend on emotion means today, one day you'll be up, one day you'll be down. So Pakistan can afford to play on emotion, because if you're not good enough, you'll just say, let me, may raise my players and say, play for today, play to win today. The Indian players will not look at it the same way.
Well, we've tried to get this rivalry going. We've got a little chat going here in the studios of Cricbuzz Live. But what about going center stage and seeing what the rivalry is like over there? We've pitted Danish against Zainab.
Danish, अभी से surrender कर दिया. White shirt, where's your blue jersey?
Zainab, the sun is setting, no?
So?
No, that's exactly what's going to happen to Pakistan as well when you all play against us.
Don't forget the first game of the Champions Trophy last year. India ने हराया.
Correct.
ठीक है ना? उसके बाद क्या हुआ?
Anything you tell them. Weather is hot, Champions Trophy we won. There are no birds in the sky, Champions Trophy we won. See, I can imagine this. 2099, India beats Pakistan at the World Cup, and still you guys are going on. हमने Champions Trophy में आपको beat किया था. There is more, no?
देखो, अभी जो मुकाबला होने वाला है ना उसमें भी आपको जवाब देंगे। हाँ वो तो बहुत बीच में रेफरेंस किया क्योंकि एक ही रेफरेंस है हमारे पास और कुछ नहीं है, सही कह रहे हैं।
Zainab, that's exactly how the Pakistani team as well is. No comeback. Why do you all always struggle against India? This was Michael Vaughan's tweet, by the way.
Do you know, Danish, what's the record win-loss ratio India-Pakistan का?
In UAE, I'm not sure.
19-8.
19 to Pakistan?
Yeah.
These are your stats, Zainab. You're supposed to say 19-7 Pakistan has beaten India. That's a good comeback for you.
So I think you might want to, Michael Vaughan might want to revisit the stats.
Michael Vaughan, just be on our side, sir. Couple of more tweets, please. Afghanistan openers scored 174. Pakistan, the entire team scored 162.
अफगानिस्तान ओपनर्स नहीं यार, अफगानिस्तान ओपनर्स ने नहीं किया था।
Yeah, but on the subject of going away, वो क्या हुआ? हांगकांग के ओपनर्स ने 174 मारा, आपकी पूरी टीम ने 162 हमारे खिलाफ।
116 पे उनको आउट भी तो किया। आपकी टीम ने तो उनसे 150 का ओपनिंग स्टैंड करा दिया था। तो what does that say about your bowling?
It says about us as a country. We're very giving.
Yeah, but India has always, spoken about how they're proud of having, batsmen. Bowlers पाकिस्तान के पास ही। यार दिमाग की बात लग गई है seriously।
Fine, we lost Champions Trophy. Yeah, fine, we lost Champions Trophy.
कितने रन से?
We lost Champions Trophy. I know that your comeback in any which case. 180 runs. No, 180.
Don't worry. We'll get a new comeback. अब जो इंडिया पाकिस्तान का मैच है उसके बाद एक नया comeback है।
You wish. That's not going to happen, Zainab. But if you really think you need the cup and you deserve it, here you go. This cup is for you.
Guys, I've got the bigger cup as it is. The trophy is already mine. Thank you very much. कुछ करना पड़ेगा तुम्हारा, लाइन पे लाना पड़ेगा।
Actually when we started the shoot there was more light, but it's getting darker, a lot like Pakistan's future in the next game.
Well, when you look back to Champions Trophy, okay, I don't want to go there again
Oh
because
God,
that is
Champions
your,
Trophy again, yeah.
that's your
Drown me in the water, yeah. Drown me in the water. Let me survive on the fish over there. Just drown me. Tie my hands up and throw me inside, yeah.
That's your point.
All I can say is, Danish, you're a very funny, humorous man. You're also a very brave man taking panga with Zainab.
But he got his points in. He said 2099, even you'll still be saying we won Champions Trophy final. So if it's raining, we won Champions Trophy final.
Champions Trophy final is this generation's Javed Miadat sixer. Okay. Javed Miadat sixer was our generation,
yes. But coming back to some of the key players now, one person who's always performed well, and this has got nothing to do like pulling out stats like the Champions Trophy, SHOAIB Malik. He's performed well against India. And importantly, from Pakistan's point of view, he's performed well in this tournament recently in a good run chase against Afghanistan.
If Pakistan have to win chasing, then, today they're batting first, but if Pakistan have to win chasing, then SHOAIB Malik has to play well for them. And that's exactly what happened. I was watching that game against Afghanistan, and I said, if SHOAIB Malik goes out 20 runs to get, 30 runs to get, they're in trouble. And you saw how everybody else played. Everybody else thought that I hit a 6 and I win the game. SHOAIB Malik was the one who was moving the strike around. He's still calm. He's still from a category of Pakistan batsmen. He started off. Come to think, when did he start? He started when Yusuf Yohana and Asif Muhammad Yusuf and Inzamam and all these guys were still playing. He's their calmest player, so that's what makes a difference.
And I think exactly that. He's been with them. He's seen the experience of what one batsman can steer a team through. Yeah. The other players can play around him. He's a guy that'll be playing around, and I think he's.
Look at these numbers. We talked about comparing some of the Pakistan batsmen against the bigger teams versus the smaller teams. Well, this is numbers just against India, and these are impressive no matter what.
Some of those are from Generation X, Y, Z, whatever. Some of those are from 2003, 4 also.
Exactly. But the fact is, it's consistency over.
Also, it's great experience. It's great experience. He's been playing over the years. He plays in the leagues everywhere. He's a good player. I think he is actually, and it's a big call to make because they like to think that Babar Azam is that player, but I think SHOAIB Malik is to them what Virat Kohli is to this Indian side. That's my view because Babar Azam still has to do it on a big stage.
And I know you talked about him chasing, but imagine SHOAIB Malik in a team batting first. He scored hundreds against India, and that in the 50-over format does count.
I can imagine people in Pakistan watching this and saying just because. Actually, हमारे हैदराबाद का जमाई है बड़े भाई.
But on that note, I know we talked about the rivalry, and I know we could see Danish and Zainab going on against each other. But what about the fact that India-Pakistan can also be a bit of togetherness? It's not just about the rivalry. No better example, as Harsha briefly mentioned, than SHOAIB Malik. I had the privilege of catching up with him again in the beaches of St. Lucia. And of course, we talked about a lot of cricket, but when it came to the togetherness, this was a bit, you really saw the warmness in come out.
Shoaib, Malik, another new innings coming up for you, fatherhood. You've done a lot of things. You've been an all-rounder, you've been captain, you've scored hundreds against India. This is something, how ready are you for it? Is it something that's getting you butterflies in the stomach?
Well, yes, the day I've seen the first ultrasound test, I got like wordless, and it still hasn't hit me the way it should, but I think I'm very excited. And be a father, different feelings. When our parents used to say, okay, beta, do this, do that, and we used to tell my parents, Ammi, I'll do it later, Abbu, I'll do it later. So, well, they used to say, okay, once you become a father, then I'll ask you that how it feels. So I'm waiting for that moment to come, and inshallah, well, I'm very, very excited.
But it's wonderful to see, Sania, every time she's preparing for motherhood, she's keeping fit, she's on the court. There was a lovely photograph put up by Imran Bhai, where he showed her hitting the ball on the court and said, this is Sania hitting with twice the power.
Yes, and the day I saw that picture, I told her, you shouldn't be practicing and all that, and she goes, relax, it's okay. I wasn't really practicing, I just felt like hitting a couple of balls, so I did that. But I think what she has done for her country, it's exceptional, and I think describing her career in words is not enough. I think I don't have enough words to describe that, but I always been her support, and I will always be her support.
But just to conclude, with two great sports people coming together, the child is going to have a bit of a battle in the house, tennis or cricket or neither.
Well, the amount of struggle we both have seen, it's not our decision, it's completely the child's decision, and I'm not one of those who puts pressure, and same goes for her. And she's also not that kind of a person who puts pressure. It's entirely up to the kid.
Yes, looking very fit, very calm, and that's, I think, what Pakistan need from Shoaib Malik. He had a great stint in the CPL,
yes,
captaining his franchise, scoring runs, and I think contributions like that will be key to Pakistan.
They'll want him to bat as late as possible. We saw him the last time he played. He started off really well and just lost steam in the heat. So maybe they've all had a day off, but the heat sort of got to him. It seemed like it had got to him. They want him to bat as late as possible. Pakistan get a start, they'll be a different side because they bat all the way to 8-9. But if they don't get a start, they're in trouble.
Let's quickly talk about the other game, Bangladesh versus Afghanistan. New challenge for Afghanistan, chasing for the first time in the tournament.
They don't know what this is about. They'll have to struggle to get their head around it. But yeah, I think that's obviously they're a better side when batting and defending. But I think Bangladesh has given themselves a chance, and I think you're going to see a much more steely Bangladesh side because already you have seen Sri Lanka sort of slip away from the tournament.
Yeah.
This is the kind of playing
debut for Nazmul Islam and re-entry into the team for Imrul Kayes. Desperate measures.
It's interesting, they got Imrul Kayes in, but Mashrafi Murtaza was very unhappy. He said, what have they seen since they last went? He was very unhappy with the fact that Shama Sharkar and Imrul Kayes have been drafted into the side.
Correct.
So no Tamim Iqbal, that's a big thing there. So they've got the spinner in Nazmul Islam. I think Mustafizur and Mashrafi, they're all right. Mehdi Hassan can bat too. And Shakib is a fifth bowler. So they've got enough bowling.
No Rubel. Rubel is the one missing.
I think I think this is
no
straight
Rubel,
five
no
bowlers.
Musaddiq. No
So
Rubel,
then
no Musaddiq.
Mohammedullah basically has to come in if they're going to get a few extra overs
as a sixth
out.
bowler.
Yeah, as an extra overs out.
Sixth bowler, yeah.
And of course, Afghanistan, just the one change for them, and they've really been the side to beat in this tournament. We know their strength lies in their two spinners, Rashid Khan and Mujibur Rahman.
That change doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, doesn't surprise me at all because they were clearly a bowler short in their game against Pakistan, and they had to keep bowling the two fast bowlers, especially Gulbuddin Naim. So Shenwari will give you 3-4 overs of leg spin. He was a proper lead leg spinner till all the others came on, and he's batted in the top order. I think he'll give more with the bat than Najibullah did.
And I remember in one of their key games in the 2015 World Cup, he was the one who won it for them.
Yeah.
One wicket victory against Scotland.
Scotland, was it?
It was against Scotland.
But that was the one where Shapur Zadran ran around.
He did?
Yeah. I remember that one. Shapur Zadran was batting at the end, correct? And he ran around so hard, I thought that he might pull another muscle, which is what he did regularly.
I can tell you, I was hosting the show on the sideline, and they agreed to give him as one of the guests post-match, and it took him forever to come because he was running on the field like Imran Tahir.
True.
Right, before we get to our final thoughts, I think we have a joy factor to get in there.
Yep.
And,
This is not a bad one, actually.
Listen, I hope it's you. It's a proper standard and all that.
It's a fairly decent one. This is a nice.
Okay.
It's got some weight to it.
Decent means it's going to be a googly, is it?
No, it's a decent one. I won't say it's really.
Okay,
tough.
let's sledge
That's
him,
for the
Gautam.
final.
Gautam, let's
Take a
sledge him.
look.
Let's see.
Okay, what started in Hobart in January 2003 and finally ended with a Brian Lara masterclass innings of 80 at the Queen's Park Oval in May that year? What started, what ended? Obviously significant, otherwise I wouldn't ask.
That's interesting.
Yep.
You'll have to ponder
Well,
about that.
at least I'm getting you guys to think, man.
Yeah, you've got...
I mean,
Harsha's
last few
brows
days you
have
guys were
furrowed a
knocking
little
it
bit.
out the moment I put the ball out here.
No, we've got us both thinking. I haven't got anywhere. We hope all of you out there have started putting your thinking caps on. But final thoughts on today's game before you get distracted.
No.
India versus Pakistan.
Pakistan, we're talking of 250. It's a tough score, but I don't think India will lose sleep if Pakistan make 250. If they make 200, 220, then India will be laughing.
So that's what you've said, losing sleep. Okay, let's get predictions here. One quick thought before that. What will they lose sleep over before we get the predictions? 275?
I think anything over 270 to 275 is when they'll think that, okay, this is now challenging and chasing this is going to be difficult. Before that they won't. I die completely with Harsha on that.
All right, a wish list is one thing, a prediction is another. Let's get the predictions out before our show finishes.
238.
Pakistan 238, Joy?
I'm going to go 191.
191, very much putting the
Don't do the
jersey on.
simple thing and choose a number in between.
I'm not taking a number in between.
Why?
I'm going out on a limb and I'm taking a number higher than both of you. 255.
It can't be higher than both of us. It's only got to be higher than me because mine's already higher than his. Okay, I'll sledge you a bit as well. 255. Okay, let's see.
Well, that's what we have from Cricbuzz Live. Let's remind you, Uber presents Cricbuzz Combox. That's going to come to you in the 15th over. That's our new innovation in this tournament. We'll join you soon after that. And of course, we'll be back with our mid-innings show to try and see if it's going to be 191, 238 or 255. We'll see you soon.